Hello and welcome to Jamie's Motion Graphics. Today we're explaining the card dance effect, and even though it says introduction to, I am trying to explain everything there is to do with this effect, so that's why the video is kinda long. It's a relatively simple effect, but yeah, you will see it in a moment, so let's just get into it. Okay, here we are in After Effects and we are going to just make a new composition. We're actually going to make 3 compositions. First of all, we're going to make a logo composition. Oh, caps lock is on. So it's going to be 1280 by 720, 30 frames per second. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, just wanted to make sure. Let's take a text to just be our logo. Let's call it logo. Well, that's a little bit big for what we're trying to do. Make sure your logo actually doesn't take up the entire space, because that would look crazy. Although you can, it's not a problem for the effect. So now we're going to make a control layer, which I will explain later what that actually does. But it controls the effect, obviously. Same thing, and we're going to put something black and white on there. So last time I did this, I took noise, so we're going to do that now again. Oh, we need to make a layer, obviously. Can't put noise on the nothingness, so we're going to take a solid, put some fractal noise on there. I will explain what happens if you do something else as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to take my, my own favorite. We're going to set the contrast to something high. As you might have noticed, this was what it was, a little bit of gray everywhere. What we want is we want actual black and actual white in there, just to get the maximum amount of, well, movement out of this. Maximum amount of difference, basically. And yeah, it shouldn't really matter if you have well, a good seed here, so if you get lucky, basically, but this way you don't have to get lucky. So don't use brightness. Complexity doesn't really, well, do anything. Anyhow, this is our control, and it is just, well, good enough like this. Now we're going to do the design part of this whole exercise. And it is going to consist of just putting in the logo and putting in the control. The control is going to be, well, just blanked out. And now all we need to do is we need to take the card dance, because that is what we're here for, and put it on the logo. So what this does is it divides the entire screen, so not just the logo part, the entire screen, in this case in 9 rows and 12 columns. So obviously we need to up that to actually see what's happening. Then the back layer is the layer that you want to move, to the one that you want to see. So in this case it's our logo layer. The gradient is your control layer. You can actually have 2. As you can see, you can make gradient layer 2 and put something in here as well. I can put control in here. I'm going to set it to none just to not confuse you. But we can do a secondary gradient layer just to get 2 different layers interacting. So if you want your X thing to do something different from your Y thing, then yeah, this is how you do it. Anyhow, what this does now is you use the control, the gray value of the control, which is this one, to move in X, Y, and Z, or rotate in X, Y, and Z, or scale in X and Y. Z scale doesn't do anything because it's a flat layer, so it has no scale. So basically we can just start here and say, well, we want to use the intensity because we want to use the grayscale. As you can see, there are lots of things to choose from. So everything with a 1 behind it is from gradient layer 1. Everything with a 2 behind it is the same value, but then from the other gradient layer. So yeah, in this case, gradient level 1, layer, sorry, 1, and then the intensity, which is basically how white it is. And you can see now why we need more rows and columns, because, well, with more rows and columns, the effect just becomes better. And you can see a little bit of what your pixels look like, or your cards, I should call them, and just make them the way you want them. So if you want to have big cards, just don't pick too many. And this is kind of the shape I was looking for, kind of a playing card. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the multiplier to make the effect. As you can see, if you put the multiplier to 0, the original logo appears. So what this does is it takes the gray value, as I said, so the intensity, it multiplies it by the multiplier. Yeah, you didn't guess that, right? And that is where it puts, or well, the amount of distance it puts this, well, the card away from where it started. So if you have a multiplier of 1, it's going to move 1 times the intensity. If you do times 2, it moves 2 times the intensity. So just double as much. The thing is, if you animate this, then you can get some pretty nice things going. So we're going to animate that in a moment. For now, we're just going to set up the intensity for everyone. And as I said, you can do different things, but we are going to just do the one thing, and you can see how that works. So how are you going to do this is you're going to just zoom out and set the intensity, the multipliers to something that looks good. So it doesn't have to be like super duper pro, but it has to look good at least. So we're going to just, I don't actually like the X, so I'm going to set that to 0 for now. I might also set this one to 0 and just use the Z for, well, a little bit. Just make this maybe 0,1. No, a little bit more. That's a little bit too small. But yeah, you can see what it does. It kind of just tilts the thing around. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I want that too much. And this one just moves it from left to right. And that is, of course, because we have the Z multiplier set really high. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be at 0, and we're going to say, okay, multiplier, all of the multipliers are going to be animated. You can, of course, do some rotation as well. I'm going to just use the intensity for everything. And this one is going to rotate in that direction. You can see what it does. It rotates around the x-axis, which is our horizontal axis. And we're going to put that here as well. So the y rotation, same deal. We're going to just make it something that kind of looks okay-ish. And then the z rotation, I'm not going to use the scale, I think. But it works in the same way. Intensity, and then just look what it does. So overall, this is how it works. You kind of set these values, and now we're going to animate them to actually come together in, let's say, 10 seconds. So we're going to put this to 10 seconds. And at 10 seconds, all of these things that we just set, so you can hit U if you want to see which ones they are, they're all going to be 0. So every multiplier is going to be 0 because we want our original logo to be there. Doesn't mean that everything has to be linear, because we can obviously just adjust that. You can actually make these into easy ease. There you go. It makes the transition a little bit smoother. Here you can see how big your cards are. And currently it's just a kind of a rain of cards that are coming in and that are doing their thing. So now we can move around the effects a little bit. So first of all, the first one, 0.03, yeah, that's not really worth doing anything with. 0.27 then, yeah, that's a little bit more worthy of our time. We're going to just set all these keyframes. It doesn't really matter, but and look, the thing you're trying to do is you're trying to create an effect that's really fast in the beginning and then slower in the end, right? So you take your points, which I made over here, and you just move them to the front. So that, well, the logo starts forming really quickly, so you can see what it becomes, and then it slowly becomes the actual logo. I don't think I actually took the right spot here. It needs to be more recognizable already. So like over here, this is where we're going to put all our frames. And then we're going to move them forward. But they don't have to be in the same spot. You can just move them around. This is where the design part comes in. I'm just doing random stuff here, just in case you're wondering. I have no clue what this does. But you can, for example, say, like, yeah, I want this logo to appear like this. Like, it's already formed, but the rotation isn't correct yet. Let's assume you want that. So that means that the Z position at this point has to be 0, or the multiplier. Also the X and Y position have to be 0 at that point. So now the position is already done over here. So once you get past this, and all it has to do is rotate the cards to actually be in the correct spot. So you can make with it what you want, obviously, but the effect should be obvious by now. So you should understand what it does. So because we have random values, you see that all of these cards have different ways of traveling to well, to the eventual place where they need to be. So what if we took something that's not random? Like, this is a completely random stuff, but we can of course take ramp, for example. Put the ramp on here, disable the old one, and now the ramp will kind of prescribe what we're going to do. Let's set it to a little bit more in the center. The logo is around here somewhere. So let's see how this actually does. And as you can see, now it's not random at all. They're nice lines. They all have the same rotation, and they come together in a completely different way. Even though the only thing I really changed here, and by the way, these in the middle are exactly at, well, the no move state. Like, the black means that they're moving towards here. No, the other way. The black means that they're moving towards the back, and the white means they're moving towards the front. But this line is just staying there. It's 127 gray value, which is exactly the half between the two. And this of course looks terrible. If it's already there and it just stays there, it looks terrible. So what you might want to do it, if you're creating something like this, is either make sure that this layer isn't exactly here, so there's no value of exactly 127, or you want to rotate the entire layer, or scale it, or whatever. Do something that kind of disturbs this. But, well, I just wanted to show you that having something like this makes a completely different transition. Also, of course, if you want to move it around a bit and actually get it like this, you also get a different thing. So now it comes in from those sides. And of course you can do with this, well, once you understand how this works, you can deal with this by making, well, multiple ramps, for example. So if I make a ramp like right here, up until here, well, I don't know, I don't think it actually goes onto the logo yet. And I duplicate this, and I set this ramp to be like over here. Yeah, we'll have to cut a little bit, but that's fine. Let's say we cut out this part, something like this. I don't know, something like this. And then we of course duplicate this again, and then we kind of just move everything. So let's take our ramp and just move it from here to here. and move our mask as well. Our mask is going to be over there. So yeah, I do need to take care that it actually lines up a little bit at least. Ramp, come on. It has to be at least semi-vertical to get the effect. Yeah, I'm going to do that again. Move it again. Because, well, tedious is tedious. So afterwards I'm going to have to do one more. But yeah, you can see it's not that hard to make something like this. And you can of course do this in Photoshop or something like that, which is way easier. But yeah, second program, can't really do that. I want to make everything in this. Oh, M for mask. Let's first move these. And then use the mask tool to get over there. So now we have kind of a design in here, and you can immediately see that this is like a completely different way of behavior. Now we have rows. Yeah, they don't really show up too well. Let's increase the logo size a little bit. Did I scale it? No, I just made the font smaller. Okay, let's put it over here. Okay, now you should be able to see it a little bit better. Yeah, you can see it here very well. Like you have all these lines now, and some of them go forward, some of them go backwards, but it's not one thing anymore. So yeah, different stuff. Very cool. Okay, now let's do one more thing before I'm going to leave you to it. Let's go to the project file, duplicate the control into Control 2, and then instead of having all this crap on here, we're going to just delete all of that except for one of them. And let's see, turn on the fractal noise again. And now we're going to go to our design. And yeah, I already told you you can do multiple things with the card dance thingy, multiple control layers. So instead of just telling you that, I can actually show you. So insert Control 2, obviously. And we're going to just go to the controls of the logo, and we're going to put Control 2 in the second control spot. So if we now look at, let's say over here, the thing is busy, and we're going to put the Z position to intensity 2, then you can see that it randomizes now, because that is what we did with the second one. The second control is the randomized one. So this effect is completely different, even though you can still see in the end all of the rotation, because at this point all the movement is done. The movement is set to 0, but all the rotation is still going on. So you have these nice lines of the rotation, but not of the movement. The movement is now randomized. Well, these technically aren't, but they don't really do anything. So, well, I guess they do something. But yeah, you can see here how that works. And then the logo forms and the rotation, well, completes it. So two different control layers means that you have more control over the effect, and you can get better, well, structures going, because that's normally what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to achieve something that is cute. It's really all there is to the effect. The effect is not really difficult. It is just you need to understand how it works. By the way, you can also input a camera here. So if we input a camera, I don't really care what camera it is. And then we can take one of the camera tools, the orbital camera tool. That's the one we want. We're going to go to position, set a keyframe for, no, not here, over here. at 10 seconds. We're going to set a keyframe for the position, and then we're going to just see what nice angle we can actually make. Do I have to turn them into 3D layers? Yes, I do. And turn on this because otherwise it doesn't work. Well, these don't have that. But yeah, the little sun here kind of enables your 3D-ness of your 3D layers that you made in a different pre-composition. So yeah, I hope that explains it a little bit at least, but that's all you need to really know about it. So now you can move your camera around, and it doesn't really show up too much. Hang on. It should actually show up as a rotation here. What did I not set? Oh, I think I need to input a camera here as well. Same camera, don't care. And of course make it a 3D layer, because otherwise it doesn't see anything. Now it should be able, yeah, now I can actually rotate it. Wow, it's really crappy, but it does rotate. And I guess the control layers should rotate as well. But yeah, you can now make a movement during the time that you, well, kind of are moving. So currently at 10 seconds, I can just hit the reset on the camera. There is a reset right here, and you can just reset the entire thing. So you can see now that, especially in the end, you can see that I'm rotating, and that actually the logo comes into view. And obviously, if you do a little bit more of a rotation in the beginning, so over here, you can make the movement a little bit better than I had. I just randomized it a little bit, just making sure that it actually works. And there it is. Bam! Logo. So, as I said, it's not a difficult effect, it's just that you need to understand how it works, and I hope I explained that thoroughly enough so that people understand how the effect works, and then yeah, you can experiment with it yourself by making things like this, maybe trying to up the contrast even more, because that would look completely different then. You can see that it flies out way more now, and that can be very cool. On the other hand, if you're trying for more of a subtle effect, you might want to go for something more like this, like the original was. And if you're going for a designed effect, you might want to go for an actual drawing in gray and black. Because, well, not only can you have this ramp, you can also have a radial ramp, which looks completely different, of course. Because if we do something like this and go to our design, then you can see that everything moves to the side, and here it rotates a little bit, but it's a completely different movement once again. In this case it's completely terrible, but you get the point. So different designs means different movements, and so yeah, just experiment with it and you will probably get something way better than I did. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.